Welcome back, everyone. Today we're making the full-size regular Lucy tote. It comes in two sizes, the regular and the mini. Today we're making the regular. Okay, so first up, you're going to take your exterior panels and your interior panels, and you're going to use your interior to trace out the exterior. I am using vinyl today, which isn't how the panels come, but they come with canvas exterior and a waterproof canvas interior. You're going to want to use the interior linings to trace the exterior linings because on the softer bases, the printing isn't always correct, but the waterproof canvas is usually spot on. So we're going to use these to trace our exteriors. I've already done that. And then I'm going to take our sides and our base piece, and we're going to make some marks on them before we start sewing. You're also going to need 2 strips for handles of 1-inch webbing. I made these 27 or 28 inches long. I like a nice large handle to throw the bag over my shoulder. If you want to do it shorter, you can. It's personal preference. But today we're using 2 28-inch pieces of 1-inch webbing. So we'll also put that to the side. Okay, so up first, we're going to take our base pieces and we're going to trace a 1-inch border all the way around. This will help us sew on our final steps. And we're going to take our side pieces as well. And we're going to put a 1/2-inch mark at the bottom of our side piece on both of these because this is where we're going to stop sewing when we're attaching the sides. So let's go ahead and get started with the exterior. I'm going to go ahead and grab our front lining piece, put the base to the side, move our front lining panel and our 2 side panels. So we're going to attach those one on each side with the 1/2-inch line here at the bottom. All right, we'll clip this together. And your side pieces should be the same length as your front panel. And your base should be the same width as your front panel. With the canvas pieces on, or the canvas exterior on this panel, I would interface with at least FS 101 and maybe fusible fleece, depending on the structure you want. You can use Decaville Light, but that's totally personal preference. Okay, so we're going to start sewing at a 1/2-inch seam allowance, 4.5-inch stitch length. Back stitch. Oops. All right. And we're going to sew all the way down to the 1/2-inch mark. And we're going to stop. I'm going to do the other side. We're going to start at the 1/2-inch mark. All the way down. Back stitch. All right. And then we're going to grab our back panel. Make sure that all your pieces are right side up. So we have front panel, side and side. So when we attach our back panel, we want to make sure it's right side up. We're going to flip it over. We're going to clip it. And we're going to sew all the way down to the 1/2-inch mark and stop. We're going to do this side. Start at the 1/2-inch mark. All right. Now we have to trim our threads. And if you look, we have like this little tube here. You can see it's the front and the top here. So we're gonna go ahead and flip it over so that we need to attach the bottom. We're gonna grab our base piece and we're gonna align it each corner. And we're gonna align this corner. And we're gonna do this side. Attach this corner. Okay, so then we're going to sew down from this X to this X. Back stitch both places. And I'm just going to follow, it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm just going to follow the line that I drew. And we'll hop over into the other side. Perfect. And now we need to do the sides. Now the sides will just close together. You don't need to clip them. You can if you want to, but then we're going to sew from X to X. This will make a nice square base. And it'll let the tote stand up nicely on its own. Now if you wanted to on your base piece, you could put Decaville Heavy. It depends on what you're going to be using your tote for. If you're going to put heavy stuff in it, you can use more interfacing if you'd like. All right, so now we're going to check to make sure that we got all the sides. There's no holes. All right, perfect. So I'm going to trim the corners. Don't cut through any of your stitches. And then I'm going to trim down all the edges by 1/4 inch. So it'll lay nicer when we attach the lining. And then we'll go ahead and we'll trim these ones as well. Leaving a spot at the top so that we can attach the lining. All right, take all these scraps and put them in the trash. So now we're gonna mark our center panels, mark the centers on our front and back panel. And then we're gonna attach our handles. You can do this before you attach the sides. I didn't. You should. All right. So now I'm going to take my little ruler and I'm going to mark 2.5 inches from each center. And that's where the webbing's going to go. So I'll flip it over and do 2.5 inches on this side. And then 2.5 on this side. Perfect. And then we'll grab our webbing. You want to make sure that there's no twists or turn in your webbing. So I have one solid loop. I'm going to toss it in there. And I'm going to center the webbing in the middle and clip it. I'm clipping it about 3/8 of an inch above the seam. That way a little bit more extra gets caught in the seam and it doesn't fray over time. Okay, and this one, make sure the loop's not twisted. I'll shove that in there. And then center it about 3/8 inch above. All right, and we're going to tack these on, and then we'll work on our lining. Make sure your webbing is straight when you're basting it. If your webbing starts to fray after you stitch it, go ahead and hit it with a lighter again. It won't hurt because you don't want it coming undone in the long run. Okay, so we'll put this aside and work on our lining. So take your front panel, your two sides. I'm going to attach these, and we want to make sure that your 1/2 inch mark is at the bottom. I'm just going to clip these together, just like we did the exterior. The only thing different about the lining from the exterior is we're going to leave a turn hole in one of the sides. It doesn't matter which side. The side looks a little nicer when you finish than the bottom. The bottom can be kind of hard to attach because it is a square if you leave the bottom opening. Bottom open. Opening open. All right, 1/2 inch. We're going to stop at our mark. Flip it open, right side up. So we have front and then two sides. We're going to do our back lining. Make sure that it's right side up. We're going to clip this. I'm going to clip this one. Now I'm going to leave the hole on the last side that I sew. Let's hope I remember. All right. Depending on your materials, will depend on how big of a turn hole you want to leave. 4 to 6 inches is probably good. I'm going to leave a little bit larger because I'm using vinyl. All right. So I have a nice large turn hole for my materials. All right. So then you have a tube here. You want to make sure that you're at the base of your bag and you grab your base. Going to clip the corners together, and we're going to clip these corners together. I'm going to turn it to the opposite side. So then we're going to sew from X to X, back stitching at the start and stop. I'm going to follow the line, but it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And we're going to do the sides. And then the other side. It helps to have the 1/2 inch marked, because then you don't have to worry about clipping the sides. All right. So now we're going to make sure that we caught all the holes. Looks like we're good. I'm going to trim the corners. Don't cut through your seams. And then I'm going to trim about 1/4 inch off each seam allowance. I do use a different color bobbin thread than top thread. It's easier for me to see what's going on with my machine. When I use 2 different colors, no one's going to see the bobbin unless you're top stitching, so, or, you know, the whole bag. So we're good. All right, we're going to do this side. Make sure you leave about 1 inch at the top, so it makes it easier to attach the lining to the exterior. This one we don't want to cut out too much, because this is where a turn hole is. You don't need to cut this side at all, but I already started. Clean up our mess. All right. So we're going to turn this piece inside out. I like to pop it out all the way to make sure that everything is sewn correctly and all the seams are good. And then we're going to pop it into the exterior. All right, so we want our front panel touching our front panel. So you have front and back. We're going to have our front one here. I'm going to smoosh it, shove it inside. So they are now front panel to front panel. And we're going to match up all the corners. And then we'll match up the center marks on the front and back panel. I just realized I didn't mark my centers on my lining panels, but that's okay. We'll make it work. And then we're going to attach this at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And make sure when we're sewing around, I'm going to sew on the inside. I back stitch over the handles to give them a little extra security. Not too much, but just a little bit. All right, so at 1/2 inch, starting on the edge. We'll back stitch on the webbing. And slowly turn your bag as you get there. You don't want to be too rough, you'll lose all your clips. Back stitch over the webbing. Oops, the seam allowance is off. Let's go back and fix that. A 1/2 inch right here. So you're just doing a little quick inspection to make sure that you hit, wow, I did really well on that, didn't I? To make sure that everything is even. It looks like we are good to go. So go ahead and I'll take this out and we'll flip it. Now with your canvas one, you shouldn't have any problem turning this. With this vinyl one, I'll have a little bit of a struggle, but that's okay. It's all about choosing the right materials. And for this bag, vinyl is not it. I mean, it looks nice, but cool. All right. Fantastic. So then we're just going to pop out all the corners. Be careful when you do this that you don't pop any stitches or bust it up. I used white thread, so you'll definitely be able to see them. Last corner. We're going to push the lining back inside. Kind of smooth things out. Use all your arms and your fingers. And then we're going to roll these seams and clip them so that we can top stitch. So there we go. If you need to smash this seam with your little pliers or whatever, you can. Sometimes it makes it easier to stitch over them. I know I do that when I use interfacing of the seams. Almost there. Now, if you wanted to add a bag tag, you should have did that before we attached anything. I'm going to put a woven label inside because I have both. All right, so we're going to top stitch now. I'm going to start on the side panel. We're going to top stitch at a 5. I'm going to go all the way around. All right. Make sure you move your handles so you're not sewing them in the wrong direction. Almost there. And we're going to back stitch. All right. Trim your threads. Right. And then the final step would be to close your turning hole. So pull that out from the inside of the bag. You kind of just pull flat on the seam. The sides should tuck in mostly. This is where I like to put in my woven label. I have so many. Let's see what I have here. Let me grab my little woven label. This one says made with girl math. Made with girl math. It's practically free. All right, so shove this under my machine. Let's see where it stops. Okay. I'm about halfway through. Just gonna throw my tag in. Make sure it's straight with the seam. All right. I'm gonna trim that and then we're good to go. Oh shit, my bad. Shove the lining back in. And there you have it. Let me adjust the angle so we get a better view of this behemoth. All right, so this is the whole Lucy tote. It's very big. I originally designed this as my work bag, so it fits my laptop. You can add as many pockets as you like. Slip pockets. Here's my laptop. I have a 14-inch laptop. So as you see, it fits just right. You can barely see my laptop sticking out of the top. And there's plenty of room for other stuff. You could put a water bottle sleeve. You could add that. Possibilities are endless. You can add whatever you want. So thank you for watching my video today. And I hope to see you around for more. Okay, bye.